Hey, what's happening, family? This your boy, it's CY. Hey, this is the Genesis Podcast. And you know how we do at the Genesis Podcast. We're going to help you get that internal clarity that's going to give you that external momentum. So today, I got a guest. You know, I've been dropping a couple micro episodes, sharing some principles that have been working for me over the last couple years. But I got a guest today, man. And so this brother, I met him through another great friend of mine, my armor bearer, the one that's on a performance improvement plan. You know who you are. Anyway, this is my boy A Rose People. He introduced to me and just an amazingly dope brother. And so I've been wanting to sit down and chat with him. I've heard some of his story. His story has been amazing. He's actually going to be a guest panelist on the entrepreneurial panel at the Genesis Summit. Look, if you're not coming to the Genesis Summit or you're on the fence about coming to the Genesis Summit, man, you better get a ticket. We're going to have 7-figure entrepreneurs in the building. They're going to be sharing their stories, how they overcame, their adversity, and how they got to where they're at. So this will let you know that it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish and what you think about yourself in the process. So this brother is going to be one of the panelists at the Genesis Summit 2.0, March 6th and the 7th at the Cascade Conference Center here in the Colony. Grab your ticket. The link will be down below in the show notes. So please grab your ticket because don't wait to the last minute. I'm like, hey, see, why can I get in? I don't know if you remember that old commercial back in the 80s when they were trying to get that record, that old school record. I might be giving y'all my age, but they be like, nah, brother, you got to get your own. Hey, you ain't going to be able to get in the dough. But anyway, I want to introduce a dope entrepreneur. I've seen this brother do tacos and tequilas, bourbon and Patron or whatever. This brother just be doing stuff. He runs a energy efficiency company as well. I know this brother be in China. This brother be here, there, and everywhere, and just a great brother, man. So without further ado, I want to introduce a good friend of mine, this brother named Lucas Michael Payne. What's up, Lucas?
What's up, CY, man? Thank you for having me, man.
Man, I appreciate you for being here, man. I've been wanting to sit down with you a little bit, man, and I figured it was no better time as we're getting ready to go into the Genesis. You're going to be there. So I'm glad it worked out that we were able to connect, man. So appreciate you again.
No, thank you. Thank you. You showed up for me at the beginning of 2024 when I did something, an event called Launch 2024, after we started to build a relationship. And so it ain't no question. I'm showing up for you every time.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes,
to hear that, it's collaboration over competition. It's enough for everybody to eat. So Lucas, man, tell the people a little bit about yourself. You know, I know I've seen you promote some concerts. I know you run a 7-figure company where you do energy efficiency and retrofits and things of that nature. So tell my people who you are, a little bit about Lucas Michael Payne.
Okay, I'll try to be brief, but from the Chicago area, moved to Dallas here about 7 years ago. First of all, I'm a husband. I'm a father. Those are, and I'm a man of God. I think those are the first 3 things that I hope define me in the way I interact in space. I'm out the mud. Foster homes. I remember listening to your Genesis, the initial podcast, right? And we all have our origin stories, you know. So I was in and out of foster homes. My mother was mentally ill. So every time she would carry one of my sisters full term, she would have to be committed to an institution for months or years at a time. So not in a military way, but in a very similar way, I found myself in different communities, different households with different rules, and still trying to figure out who myself was. Add the fact that I have come from my mother's a white woman, German and Irish, and my father is a black man, and so even coming up with those things. So I think there was a early stage of kind of figuring out who am I, and I think I put on a couple of different identities at times. Right. Put on some different clothes that didn't fit. Grateful that people have always saw something, and God just protected me. Horrible things would happen in these foster homes. Somehow He protected me. Horrible things would happen when I got locked up with some of the guys because we were outside when we were 15. He still had me. So every step of the way, despite my beginnings, But I'll fast forward, for the last 15 years, because there's a bunch of stuff that happened. But in my early 20s, I was very involved in entertainment. Okay. I also had my first son at 19.
Okay.
I soon got full custody of him and raised him and his older brother together. So somehow I was, living that nightlife, was still doing dad stuff, and then still trying to have kind of a more, not that entertainment isn't reputable, because obviously there's millionaires and billionaires in entertainment, but I was still kind of had a lot of life residue on me from that time. So really focused for the last 15 years on energy efficiency. For those that don't know what that means, because it sounds nerdy, really just helping buildings operate more efficiently by reducing their energy load, reducing the amount of water that they use, through technology, through switching stuff out, reducing the, if there's up on the 15th floor, if nobody's up there, maybe the air doesn't need to be at 72, maybe it needs to be at 77, right? And so figuring all those things out. And there's been several pivots in there, but when I came to Texas, one of the things I missed Chicago flavor. I missed kind of some of the things. Started a entertainment business again, and we've been very successful over the last couple of years with some festivals and stuff. So I think that's enough for now. I'm sure we got plenty of time to talk.
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into that, man. It's a lot to unpack in there, man. First of all, I want to just give you your kudos and flowers for overcoming all that, because a lot of people that come from places that we look like, they don't make it out. You know what I'm saying? They fall victim to either a crime, the drug game, either being murdered, or just deadbeats, with 17 baby mamas and 22 kids. So let me ask you, how were you able to decide, with all that you had stacked against you? Because often people say, well, you didn't start out like I started. I didn't have the opportunity that you had. With all that stacked up against you, if you were to run into a young man right now that was in a similar situation or coming from a similar upbringing, what would you share with that young man based on your experience, and to help them find direction in a flow in life?
I think, again, it wasn't always perfect,
Right.
but I think the thing that God has given me the power to do, and given each one of us the power to do, despite where we came from, is to make a decision. And the great Tony Robbins defined or helped us dig into the word decision, right? I read one of his books years ago, I actually taught some from it, but he had said decision comes from two words in Latin, decadere. It means to cut from. So you got to make that cut, and you can make that cut. You can say, despite the fact that I don't know who my daddy is, how I was raised, mom's on drugs, whatever your situation was, you still have the power to make a decision. Now, you're going to need God's help. You're going to need to lean into people. You're going to have to continue to cleanse your heart and mind and soul from some of the things that you've been exposed to. But God, that thing that He gives us as being able to discern and be able to make a decision, I think. And so I would tell you, young man, you can make a decision to live your life in a completely different way.
Yeah, man, that's dope, man. It starts with a choice, right? We all have a choice. So I salute you on that, and I really admire you for that. We all have a story, like you said. You've heard some of my story, and I didn't grow up. I didn't know my dad, but I didn't grow up in a foster home. So just that's like another added thing to it. You have no structure. At least when my mom did meet my dad, he was in the military, so he gave me some semblance of structure. I struggled with other things like identity, trying to fit in, and all those, as I was growing up and matriculating through childhood to adolescence to being a man. But that was my journey. So I want to just give you the pat on the back for making a decision and making a choice and not allowing life to choose for you. Because when you don't make a choice, life is going to choose for you.
Absolutely. It has a few options already set up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what was the turning point in that journey where you really said, you know what? I'm tired of all this. I can be better. I can do better. And although I've made these mistakes, because we all could just sit up here, this could be a mistake. This could be the mistake podcast if we really wanted to sit down and talk about it.
Right.
But where's that turning point where you say, you know what? I'm tired I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm about to change.
I think that happens every 5 years, if we're honest with each other. As we go through the growth, as we learn, as we have one relationship in our adulthood change, maybe a divorce, maybe a separation, I think that we got to give ourselves the freedom to understand that you're going to do it and do it and do it again, right? And so I would say that, you know, as I talked about some different lives, but I will say that there were definitely times, of course, the birth of my son, or even his knowing that he was coming. I don't know who my father is.
Right.
I never wanted that to happen. So when my son's mother was pregnant, she was 7 years older than me, 3 kids. And I remember crying out to God, like, God, I've always had a good relationship with him. I've always talked to him very freely. I'm like, is this what the hell you want me to do? You want me to take on this woman and her 3 children? But I wanted to stand in the gap, because I understood what that was like, right? So I think that was an initial where if I was not sure or, even, kind of fumbling around as I was leaving college or high school and going into college, I would say that was a pivotal time where I made a choice. And I chose to be a father not only to my son, but to 3 boys who I didn't have any connection to. And when her and I separated, because we weren't, God bless her, we were not, equally yoked. We weren't on the same path, but figured out, her next oldest son didn't know I wasn't his father till he was about 12 or 13.
Oh, wow.
So, I was able to, take that part on. And I think that was the first time that I made a decision. It wasn't perfect. I made mistakes afterwards, but I think that was one of the things that if I, out of the ups and downs of my early adult or early, teenage years, that was the time where I was like, okay, I can't repeat history. I can't continue the things that I came from.
Right.
Whether they're generational curses, how we think about them, I knew that I had to put a stop to it.
Right, for sure. So let me ask you this, man. How do you structure or you plan your life now? You decided that I'm going to change the trajectory of my life. I'm not going down this same path or going to repeat this cycle that I've seen. How did you plan it out, or how did you structure your life? Because I've actually been talking about structure, systems in place, because that's one of the things that as I'm getting older, I'm really beginning to realize. I always understood what systems are, but I just didn't really implement them fully into my life. But now I'm implementing them fully into my life. So you as an entrepreneur, I know you just recently came from China for a couple weeks. How does that system, structure, discipline play a part in what you do and your success that you currently have?
So it's people, processes, systems, and data, right, is the way that I process that, right? But I didn't always know that. So the thing that started was people, right? The people I'm around, which everybody talks about, but I think they gloss it over. Everybody says, well, if you want to be successful, be around some successful people. And that's true. But there's also an attraction, right?
Right.
Why the hell would Carlton want me and invite me on his podcast or somebody look at me in a certain way if I'm not conducting myself like success, even when I don't have it?
That's a bar.
Right? So we have to understand that we want to show up in a certain way. And it's not I will tell you, I have a few billionaires that pick up the phone for me and multi-millionaires.
Hold up, you said it. Stop. Then my boy said, you said B with a billion?
I have at least 2
You got Jay-Z and them type billionaires? I ain't saying Jay-Z, but I'm saying you got
I've been fortunate that people that manage and have mass amounts of wealth, whether it's tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or even a B, they pick up the phone for me. Maybe they pour into me. Maybe it's once a year, maybe it's once a month. Maybe they've collaborated with me, or in the case of my business partner in my global business, invested with me, right? And I don't take those things lightly. But it's not because I'm some kind of mega genius or I'm super, but you have to respect the people. because people will pour into you. They'll give you shots. They'll look at you. And what I was getting at before I dropped the B word was that when you show up in those spaces, keep it a buck. These people have stories just like you and I are discussing our stories. Just because they come from tens of millions or hundreds of millions or billions or not and made it, they have stories too. You're going to connect on manhood. You're going to connect on friendship. You're going to connect on things that matter to everybody, which is faith, family, relationships. And so the reason why I've been able to be successful and when I've had to recover, it's been the people first. Then the processes, the systems, the data, all those things come next. But I think we need, even when you have a bad breakup, we talk about baby mamas, right?
Right.
We have ex-wives. Can you do it in a way as things happen? Can you have a bad business relationship? Things don't work out. Can you keep your integrity through the process to respect each other's human point, right? Respect, understand that we're dealing with each other as human beings and want to be treated a certain way. So, I've done my best to preserve relationships despite whatever happens. And I think if your foundation is that, because business is not going to go the way you think, people are going to let you down. You're going to let people down, regardless of what your best intentions are. But I think if you, show up, look people in the eye, make sure that you're accountable, I think those things go a long way.
Wow, that's good, man. That's good. I think it's just dope that you got those type of people in your Rolodex, right? And I always think that proximity precedes the promise. So I don't know. I think I might be looking at a billionaire in the making.
I certainly hope so. I know you're a Cowboys fan. I'll share this story.
What that got to do with this?
No. I want because I met your boy, who I know you have probably a different relationship with. But I'm a member of something called the Cowboys Club here in the Dallas area. And basically it's a social club, but it's a private club, right? And I didn't anticipate getting there. I'm a Bears fan, by the way. But I've been there for years. It's a great place to build relationships and community. And for somebody that's not from Dallas, it's a great place to meet all the who's who and who makes Dallas do what it does, right? So I had a chance to sit and enjoy libations for hours with Mr. Jones in a very, very tight, on a couple of couches. And just because you're a member of the Cowboys Club, that doesn't happen.
Right.
But it happened because I was being obedient. A brother named Reginald was hosting an event, and he was asked me to be at the event at the club. And he was hosting an event, and he's an amazing brother. And I was like, man, I got you. Then my wife calls about a half hour or so before I was supposed to be there. And she had a flat tire. So I'm like, man, bro, I'm sorry. My wife has a flat tire. She's out of Grandscape or somewhere. I got to go tend to her, make sure she's okay. Thank you for the invite. But it meant a lot to me. So again, showing up for people, right? I didn't even think about this, but I showed up. Jerry was in the club, which he's not always there, but he was there. He took a picture with us because, of Reggie's relationship. I'm walking out of the club about an hour later. Mr. Jones is sitting, and my neighbor, who has been working for Mr. Jones for 30 years, says, Lucas, come here. I want you to meet Mr. Jones.
Wow.
And I got to sit and hear, not just because we're drinks were flowing or whatever, but Mr. Jones shared a lot of the stories that I got to hear that a few months later came out on that Netflix.
Right.
I got to hear them firsthand. And when you talk about somebody that holds court, this man's in his 80s.
Right.
But when he talks, everybody's leaning in. He has that energy, that fervor, that passion. And he talked about losing $1 million a month with the Cowboys and everybody making fun of him when he was trying to build that organization. Now he has the most valuable sports franchise in the world. And I'm just grateful. But it's not grateful, but sometimes just showing up for people will put you in a position to make those connections.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. And what that, this light pops off in my mind as you're talking to this, telling me the story, right? And it goes back to when you first said, who is Lucas? And one of the things that you mentioned was God and him being first and foremost in your life. And sometimes people think that favor is money, but oftentimes favor is the presence of God on your life and in your life, and that favor allows you access to places that will ultimately make you money to fund the kingdom. So all I hear is that you were favored based on how you move. I know you to be a very solid brother, you know what I'm saying? And that is what resonates with me. And I think that's what puts you in these places, is just your authentic nature, your heart, and just how you want to see people win, right?
Sure.
And I think that's one reason why I like you, because I like to see people win too.
Sure.
Like, I don't think there's nothing that you can take from me, and there's nothing that I can take for you. Right. So let's form like Voltron and take over.
That's right.
So one thing I do want to kind of draw back to and kind of park for a minute, where people say, well, that's good for you, but I don't know how to create those relationships. I don't know how to find a mentor. I don't know how to ask for a mentor. What would be your advice as a high level, high performing brother that has, multiple companies?
Okay, so we have, I don't want to skip the expert stage. Right? Because we got to be an expert in something.
Yeah.
Right? And my journey through entrepreneurship that started in nightclubs and concert promotion. Then I needed a day job, started selling cell phones with a guy that had 2 stores, and we grew it to 11 stores. And I figured out how to help him really grow his business. And he gave me a little bag when he sold the business off. And then I got into the LED lighting in 2010, which I never saw, but I dove all the way in. I was at the labs of Philips, right? And so when the energy efficiency thing came out, and I'm talking to people that own multiple, billion-dollar portfolios of commercial buildings, right? So I think, especially for young people, but all of us in general, you have to be good at something.
Right.
Okay, because if you are just kind of kicking around and you're not 10 toes down on something, then it'll resonate. It'll come off, right? So when it comes to energy efficiency, when it comes to LED lighting, most people don't care, don't know. It's a very niche space that I'm in. But when it comes down to talking about how these buildings can perform better, how we can integrate solar, how we can do these different things to make, I don't know anybody, especially that looks like me, that does it the way I do it, right? And so I think that the first thing is you got to be dope at something.
Right.
And if you're dope at something, then you got to have the confidence that, hey, I'm dope at something. I deserve to I have a seat at the table, and you'll be more confident. But I think the first thing, you do have to put some work in. It's not just, hey, I showed up, I believe in myself, I got this idea. I'm not saying God won't bless you. That has nothing to do with me, but I'll tell you what's worked for me.
Right.
Is that when I get well recommended from a millionaire to a 10 millionaire to a whatever, when somebody puts me in these spaces of, in positions to do something, it's because they trust the fact that I have some level of expertise that, resonates. The other thing is most people go into those conversations and you're immediately thinking about pitching. I didn't pitch Jerry Jones a damn thing. I got to sit in his presence and I listened. And when he was telling that story about being in his 40s and losing $1 million a month, that's a season that your boy, this is not a growth season. This is a steady season for me, right? I've had to right the ship and correct some things. So even though I got a lot going on, I also went through a lot of financial loss a few years before. So I needed that at that time. If I'd have been in there trying to pitch him on my business and I tell him how great I am, I wouldn't have got what I needed from him.
Right.
And then if there's things when you can add value, so it's a value exchange for me. So you got to go in increasing value. They get pitched. They're worth $1 million. They're worth 5 million, 10 million. They're an athlete. They're an entertainer. Whatever it is, everybody's got a pitch. Shut your mouth and serve. Serve. Find out a way to serve. Are you bold enough to say, I'll work for free? Are you bold enough to say, just give me I will do, can I wash your dishes?
Right.
Do you know, I mean, can you come with a servant's heart into these situations? And I think if I'm trusting God and believing God, what I know about myself and what he's opened up for me, those are the things that have given me, you know, when I've come into those rooms, because I'm not coming in always trying to figure out what can I get from somebody.
That's good. That's good. I like that. What I heard, the two main things I heard out of that, right, is add more value than you extract at the beginning. And the more value and the more you help others get what they want, the more that God and they will help you get what you desire.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing I heard, and that really resonates with me. So thank you for sharing that, man. That's dope, man. I'm actually just kind of sitting here ruminating on a couple things that you said, and we may come back to it, but be quiet, listen. Don't try to pitch yourself, right? Because oftentimes we come in trying to show everybody how great we are, and if we just get in the room and just observe. Like one of my favorite poems is The Wise Old Owl.
Okay.
It says, the wise old owl sat on the oak. The more he sat, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why can't we all be like that wise old bird? So that's one of my, because out he just observed and he's soaking it up. And now you understand how to move instead of just trying to come in and like, oh, I'm Lucas, I'm here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then John Maxwell says something too that often resonates with me when you talked about becoming an expert at something. He says in order to become an expert, you have to spend at least an hour a day for at least 5,000 hours to become an expert at something. So it sounds like you've put your 5,000 hours in mastering the LED, the energy efficiency space. And it's actually funny, my 9 to 5, I work with lighting manufacturers.
Okay.
I manage lighting. I'm like a strategic account manager for lighting manufacturers. So
Okay.
like Acuity, we deal with Hubble, Lithonia, all those dudes. So I know about the energy efficiency, the LM79. I know about all that stuff.
And I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
And so when you see me over in China, guess who I'm talking to? The OEM manufacturers that make the stuff for
Exactly. Yeah. I'm familiar with all of them. So basically, I work with a lot of those too because what happens is our organization will go into their factories, what they call a factory inspection, and so based on how they make the product, we got to ensure that it's being made up to specifications to that standard that is oversought by OSHA.
Okay.
And so they will go into the factories in China and once a quarter, look at the bill of ladings, the report, high pot tests, all those tests that they do, and they want to ensure that those tests are being done exactly as the report calls
Is it
out.
SGS?
No, I'm with CSA.
Okay, so I'm very familiar. I'm driving down your street.
Yeah. So that's very funny you said. So thank you for all those, man. I know that there were some other little crooks and crannies in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you, if you're comfortable with whatever you're
Sure.
sharing me, I don't want you to share anything that you're uncomfortable with or what have you, but I know your story, man. Your story is like a freaking, it should be a movie, man. Matter of fact, let's get together and produce the life of Lucas Michael Payne, put it on Tubi and see if they'll pick it up.
It's funny with my mom. One of the things that she desired for me, I didn't come fully into her custody. I would be in and out of her custody till about 9. And when I was 9, from 9 to 14, I was with her for a solid, and then again out of her custody until till I became a grown up. Matter of fact, I was emancipated myself at 15.
Wow.
The type of men that are attracted to women like that, horrible men, stepfathers, and men that were kind of just creeps, just bad dudes, and wasn't in the city most of the time. I was in the northwest suburbs, but those cats, it's like you're trying to overachieve. Like, so when the cats from the city come out there and they're doing some stuff in the streets, now you gotta go above and beyond to show them that you're not scared
that you're about that life, right?
So, my wife and friends will tease me sometimes from being from the suburbs. It's like, yeah, we had to kind of do some Suge Knight stuff out there in order to keep up, right? So I think, from whether it was, stints in jail, being in the drug and street culture, thank God gang culture never really was in my heart because it was like, I was a martial artist, I was a football player. all those guys that were in my life really pushed that on. And all the gangbangers, the buddies that I had, all they wanted me to do was fight some of the guys, show them that I thought I was Bruce Leroy, and, and so that was good. But all of those different steps, in my 20s, I used to say, some of the stuff I was doing or putting up my nose or whatever, I said, well, I don't have a problem because I had so much of it. It wasn't a problem, right?
Wow.
And I wasn't dependent. And I'm so grateful that I didn't have that dependency spirit, but I put stuff into my body that I never should have. I noticed in my mature days, in the 30s and 40s, and what I'm seeing amongst entrepreneurs, it was relied way too heavily on alcohol. So, and it becomes because you're out drinking and smoking cigars, and it's par for the course. It just becomes so much of a part of your life. So I think there's a lot of residue or things that we have to work through and continually, clean up. But I would say that I had a couple real moments, in my teens and early 20s, where I had to make a decision that I wasn't going to be this guy,
Right.
And I'm grateful that God brought me all the way through it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know some of those stories. Hey, if you come to the Genesis, maybe he'll share it with you. But I'm not going to blow his spot up. But I'm telling you, man, this dude has you literally, when I heard his story, I felt like I was watching like a movie, like a drama, a thriller, the whole nine, bro. Because you just started breaking down things that you went through. And that's the thing, too. Oftentimes people see somebody successful. And I heard John Maxwell said this at Climb. I went to Climb a couple weeks ago. And so he was up on stage. He said he was up on stage talking. And this young dude, he noticed that he was observing him. So he comes up to him and says, you know what? I figured out. I want to do what you do. And John Maxwell says, oh, do you? He says, okay, well, do you want to do what I did to get here? Do you want to go through what I went through to become this person? So oftentimes we're looking at the success that somebody is showing on the front side, but you don't know the scars, the wounds, and everything that's on the backside.
Right.
Because you haven't experienced that journey, or you're not even privy to it. And oftentimes we envy what we see as success, but we don't know what it costs to get to that level of success. So one, I applaud you for that. Two, hey, I wouldn't have had to go through your story to get where you got, man.
I appreciate that. And one thing I told my 7-year-old self, I was in a foster home. This other kid, he was another mixed kid. He was getting adopted by the family we were staying with. And I remember feeling kind of sorry for myself. Why can't I be like Webster?
Right.
Philip, I want to go see Philip Drummond in them, right?
Yeah.
And God gave me something at that age. And by the way, I didn't become a Christian until I was in my 30s. But God gave me something. He said, everyone's mountain is their mountain. And in my mind, in my 7-year-old brain, what that meant was like God's giving me an opportunity to not covet, to not worry. He's got something else for me. And that's the thing that I held on to. And that's how my 7-year-old brain processed what he gave me. And I was even at that time able to release this thing. He was upset because they were changing his name from Dwayne to Derek. And he was like, and he's whining to me. I'm like, you get adopted, bro. Like, what are we talking about?
Right.
Like, I got to go back.
Right.
I'm definitely going to go back to some places that I don't want to be in, so if we start coveting, and don't let social media do it to you.
Right.
Because I have an example right now of somebody near and dear to my heart. I won't put him on blast. But, he's got this brand new BMW. Great looking guy, does all this stuff, looks great. And I know what he's going through on the backside, right? And sometimes, so now the covet game is so vicious.
Ooh, the covet game.
Because now it's like, it's on your phone, and you're on your phone. Like, I think they say you touch your phone like 3,000, 4,000 times a day. You're seeing all this imagery. You're seeing these people around you, and nobody knows the struggle. Like, oh man, I remember one time a young lady approached me. He's like, oh, you're you're a millionaire. I was like, I just got lots of debt. Like, you know, like you got millions of debt. You got all these people to take care of. You got all these things. And if something doesn't go right, you know, if you have to make $5,000 a month not to sink, I got to make about $100,000 a month for things not to just blow up.
Wow.
Right. And so it's not that. So, I mean, of course, I'm grateful. I want to be a good steward. And I think that's the season I'm in now. It's just learning how to be a better and better and better steward, giving things away that I shouldn't be touching. I got a big personality. I'm a CEO at heart. I got all the ideas, but when it comes time to implementation, that's not my jam.
That's not your bag.
I've done what I've needed to do,
Right.
but at this stage in the game, I got to release, because otherwise things are going to blow up because I try to do too much or because I try to put input. So you got to trust the systems that you're building and the people that you're putting in and allow them to fail. Just like the gentleman who let me fail, I sent $15,000 out for some cell phones back in 2000 and got burned. But he gave me another chance. You know, he let me understand the entrepreneurial journey. I recently heard on somebody's podcast, or it was a quote recently I've heard, said that, I want to say it was EYL, but I can't remember, so I don't want to misappropriate it. But it was that African Americans oftentimes are over-mentored and underfunded.
Yeah, I heard
right?
that too.
And that is the truth, right? Like there is a difference between my counterparts that are able to raise funds, raise millions of dollars, start a new venture. There is a little bit more grace that's given to other folks other than ourselves.
Right.
And we don't give ourselves a lot of grace.
Right.
So the minute CY mess something up, you fumble the ball, you get in just debt. Our current president's filed bankruptcy multiple times.
Bro, let's
Okay.
not even get started on him.
Right, but no shade.
Yeah,
but
right.
like we look, people can look past that because they understand the entrepreneurial journey, right? See why files bankruptcy? Everybody talking about him, right? Lucas Payne gets in financial trouble. It's the world is over, right? And so I think we got to learn how to give each other grace through the process and understand we're all human beings. We're all kind of just going through our thing as we're going through the journey.
Yeah, man, I think that's one thing that really kind of bothers me about us is we are a lot of times our own worst enemy, bro. If you like I said, you had that misstep, boy, they finna take you through there. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get that opportunity, right? And it's like, oh, they messed it up. Like, no, I had the best intentions, but you know, it don't always work out the way I intended. You know, I did it the right way, but it didn't turn out the right thing. It's like, but I think it comes from also our mentality and our conditioning to believe that, you know, you have to have done something crooked, underhand, or you had to join the Illuminati to become a millionaire, right?
Sure.
It's like you don't have the business acumen, the smarts, and intelligence to actually get out here and grind and become. Because I'll tell you this, bro, a lot of street pharmacists could actually be high-level CEOs.
Sure, absolutely.
Because of the way that they function. They're running a business.
I'll tell this story. So everybody always talks about exits, right? So in, I want to say 2011, we founded a company called Advanced Customs Energy Solutions. And we were focused on, you know, mainly just LED lighting because, of course, at that time, all of the utilities were starting to offer incentives and rebates to bring down, because of course their goal is to bring down the demand load on their systems. So you have this new technology, but it's very expensive. So in order, just like any technology, in order to, like, you know, whether it's electric cars or whatever, you got to incentivize it. You got to bring tax credits and stuff. And these are not tax credits. You were paying for them on your bill anyway. Energy efficiency programs. If you look at your bill, whether you're a business or a person, that there's a line on, you know, with the taxes and fees. And so this program was growing. I had pitched, and we were able to kind of work our natural jelly inside the Chicagoland area, work for Archdiocese of Chicago, get some love from Chicago public schools, you know, people that we had some intro to. But the big dogs, like I remember pitching Pepsi one time, like getting in front of the CFO of Pepsi and being like, yo, dog, like we can bring down the cost of your energy, and we can also, help you with your demand curve. And he was like, you're doing too much, because I was so busy pitching that I didn't ask, hey, what do you need?
Right.
I could have went into that conversation. So that was a learning thing. I did about 5 locations for Radio Shack. Mm-hmm. In 2012, that Christmas, you couldn't tell us that it was, they said they were gonna give us a whole portfolio. Mm-hmm. I was pumped up. The CFO was flying out to see us. I didn't think about them going bankrupt, right? So fast forward, we get an opportunity with Napa Auto Parts to do about 600 locations for them nationwide. And they said, do the first 30 in 30 days. That turns into a roll-up into a publicly traded company. People say, oh, I exited, but normally what an exit is for a group of entrepreneurs is you get a bunch of stock in the existing company, maybe a little money, and you get a job. Mm-hmm. And what I realized is kind of a long way around this, but I realized when I got to that Park Avenue address, mm-hmm. and I started talking to everybody and started really understand these dudes more vicious than anybody on the street I've ever met. Real talk, man. Like these guys, basically, we're cash flow positive about $1 million, $1.5 million a year at that point. All they wanted was that cash to pay down other debt. Mm-hmm. They played me.
Oh, yeah.
But I coming in like, I don't know what's going on. Right. They know this is a different world. If I'd have just used my street sense in that situation, I'm like, oh, y'all as thugged out as anybody I ever came across in Elgin or Chicago or anywhere I've traveled around the country. Y'all just as your knives are sharp. I'm not saying everybody's bad, right. But business is business, mm-hmm. and we got to be prepared. And one of the things I always talk about is if we can rely on the things that we've learned and remember we have them when we come to a new situation, mm-hmm. that we got information, that we have our life, that we have our experience. We remember being broke. We remember going through a divorce. We remember going through hardship. We remember going through pain. Mm-hmm. We remember going through getting shot. Mm-hmm. We've been through things.
Right.
Uh-huh. We take those things into that next level.
Yeah.
And rely on them because that's who God made you to be.
Exactly. And I always say that there's nothing that he allows you to go through that he's going to waste. It's always going to work out for you because it's working for you, not against you.
Sure.
And that's crazy you talk like, so the company that I was at before when I went through that layoff, we're owned by a PE. Mm-hmm. And they carried it probably 8 years longer than they wanted to. Mm. So they were trying to get rid of it. And so one thing I saw in that, even just how vicious that game is, like the people.
Tell the people what PE is.
That's private equity firm. These are the people that put together money and mm-hmm. go out here and basically buy and take over businesses, come in, gut them, try to build them up so they can prop up the EBITDA, and then they want to sell it for 5, 10, whatever times profit they can get, and they want to move on to the next. So we were brought by, it was Aurora Capital out of Denver area. But the people that have been with the organization, because the industry I'm in, a lot of people stay because it's just most of the companies are pretty good companies to work for. It's pretty stable, and a lot of those guys have been there 20, 30 years and had stock. Sure. So when that sale went through, they expected they return, and mm-hmm. what they had did is they had borrowed against the stock and the mm-hmm. money, and so everybody that was looking for something got nothing.
And we went through that. So when I went through the same thing where this company buys you. I got all this stock. It's supposed to be worth 50 times what it's supposed to be. Right. When they buy my company, and that wasn't the reality. Right. And if I hadn't, so another business tip: paperwork. Mm-hmm. I did have my paperwork intact, mm-hmm. so I was able to Suge-Knight some things and to make sure that I got at least something from my shares that was reasonable based on my contributions, right? It was a 50-50 partnership. I trusted my business partner to do all the negotiations. He looked like Clark Kent, big chin, nice. He was the former state budget director of Illinois. Young guy, quant, super awesome dude. You know, at the end of the day, we're both young guys that, again, that understand it. So I allowed him, or it was best fit for him to kind of have those conversations, right? I didn't have any frame of reference on the level of economics. And the reason why I wanted you to call out some of these definitions is going back to the expertise. If you don't know what earnings before taxes and, you know, if you don't know what EBITDA means, if you haven't looked at a balance sheet, if you don't know how to speak the language of business, which is basically accounting. If you understand accounting 101, you don't got to be a super but just understand accounting 101, that'll give you enough, you know, fake it till you make it to kind of get through some of these tougher conversations. Or just say, I don't understand that concept. And people will gladly tell you, but if you're in there faking and shucking and jiving and they will pick up on that a mile away. They already think you don't understand anyway, because they're operating at a level way above your pay grade.
Yeah.
But if you find somebody that's pouring into you or interested in you or willing to talk to you more, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I have that now in different millionaires and folks that are willing to talk. And when the game, just to throw this out there, you talked about private equity firms, venture capitalist firms that kind of operate in similar ways. They're willing to invest $1 million in 100 businesses. So $100 million, hoping that just 2 of them turn into billion-dollar companies. They're playing a different game.
Yeah.
That if see why I need 50,000 to go do this little project. Well, man, you a couple 100,000 strong. That 50,000 means a whole lot more to you than this does to the people that they, right? Like, and so sometimes going big and dreaming big will help you to understand and stretch, because we're not in those conversations historically or whatever. So the bigger the money, we're gonna have to stretch our minds to get there.
100. Man, this has been a great conversation, man. And I that's one reason why I wanted to have on, because, you know, oftentimes we do kind of a basic, you know, level entrepreneurial course, because most of us really, we're just solopreneurs. We're really not entrepreneurs or running corporations. We're just working for ourselves.
Sure.
So just to kind of get a different lens and perspective. And that's one reason why I'm excited about having you on the panel. You, along with my mentor, is this brother named Rick Stickers. He owns the Amazon DSP business, and so he has a different lens. He looks at, you know, that's almost a $100 a year business.
Sure.
In revenue. I ain't gonna put the man business out there, but, you know, I have access to, you know, people like that as well. So just having these brothers in this room to be able to access these type of individuals, I think it's going to be game changing, because I often say that nobody's going to come save us, man. We got to save ourselves. So I got a couple quick rapid fire things I want to ask you as we get ready to close out the interview, man. And again, I do appreciate you for being here, man. If you enjoyed this episode with my boy Lucas, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe, then hit that share, then hit that like, and then hit that comment. In that order: subscribe, share, like, comment. And don't cut it off after about 45 seconds. Increase your capacity. Not 45 seconds. Stay with us about 20, 30 minutes. It ain't that long. That's why I don't try to do long episodes. All right, rapid fire. One thing that you refuse to compromise.
Family.
All right. One belief that's changed everything for you.
That I can change where I came from.
That's good. And then one decision that saved your future.
Saying no. I mean, there's certain situations that you're going to be in that you have to walk away from. And so having enough respect for yourself to walk away.
Wow. And then honestly, that speaks to like the level of work to me that you've done, because you know who you are. And when you know who you are, you actually have enough respect for yourself. When you don't know who you are, you offer yourself at a discounted rate to people. And they'll gladly take the discounted version of you all day. So Hey, this is your boy CY. This has been Lucas Michael Payne. Lucas, tell them where they can follow you. Let them know what you got going on. Anything that you want them to know.
Awesome. All things social media, Lucas Michael Payne. If you want to find out more about Force Global Supply, which is a business, we're forceglobalsupply.com and on all things social media and LinkedIn. And then, of course, for the entertainment business, tacosandbeats.com.
Yeah, Tacos and Beats. And tell them real quick about the last Tacos and Beats. I mean, I know you mentioned who you.
Yeah, so I was able to partner and help bring a festival here. The first year we did it was called Tacos and Tequila. That festival, we brought 2 Chainz, a Juvenile, and Travis Porter, some others up to North Texas. There's a couple of different festivals that operate under Tacos and Tequila. So as we look to do something, we're like, well, let's make sure we define ourselves in the space. Let's make sure that we own our own IP, because I know better than that. And so founded Tacos and Beats and brought, Rick Ross, Fat Joe, Keisha Cole, Jeremiah, and many others. And it was a great time. It was here in North Texas. And the idea was to really just kind of bring that nostalgia for the younger Gen Xers and millennials, bring that nostalgia, but also bring that cross-cultural vibe. Because I know sometimes, just like we've been kind of pulled out and people just pull from our culture, it was really important for us as we move across the country that we involve the Latino community. That we make sure that we have like we had a wonderful Selena tribute band, that we have Latinos on the stage, that we make sure that it's bigger than the tacos. It's about the community, right? And so just bringing people together of all stripes to come together, just have a good time. But what I'm hoping to do and what I am going to do is just continue to find the culture for the next 30 years. I'll say something kind of crazy, was that when I was in my 20s doing this entrepreneurial stuff as it related to festivals and entertainment, back then I used to say I want to be the P. Diddy of the Midwest. Well, pause. Unfortunately,
no diddler.
But what that man was able to do, despite whatever shortcomings he has that we know of, and then things that he was accused of that were kind of way off the wall. There's always the truth somewhere in the middle, right? Is what he was able to do was, be first. As of today, 2026, if I'm doing my math correctly, 166 years from the Emancipation Proclamation. So as a body of African American people, I mean, it's for everybody, but I want people to understand, we've only been at it for a little while. And we're less than 100 years out of where we could vote and work and not get redlined and be able to buy homes. So I like to give us as a people a little bit of grace. Understanding we're new money, we smell like new money, we're trying to figure this out. We just got out of chains and we still have some things that we're trying to go up against. So I give us a lot of grace as entrepreneurs, and everybody ain't got to be an athlete or an entertainer, right? Somebody's got to be the producer, somebody's got to build some apartments, somebody's got to build wonderful platforms for people to grow from.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's definitely we need some behind the scenes, right? You need the lawyers, you need the people that's managing the contracts. There's so many ways that we can, get to the bag versus just I want to rap, I want to play ball. In this age here, has never been more opportunities to really get out here and make your mark with the amount of information that is available. We're from the era where you had to go to the library and go through the catalogs and get the book, take the book home. Yeah, exactly. Dewey Decimal. You take them to what? Dewey what? Now you can just go on your phone and now Chat GPT. What's this? You know what I'm saying? Run the references. Make sure that this info is correct. Give them the right prompt. It's gonna give you everything you want. We literally had to go get a book, read it, take notes and all that. So always take advantage of what's in front of you. This has definitely been a pleasure, my brother. I can't wait to have you sitting up on stage with the rest of the dope entrepreneurs at the Genesis Summit, March 6th and March 7th, entrepreneurial panel. There you got it. This brother got access to a billionaire with a B. Like, where else can you gonna get a brother that has been mentored by billionaires is gonna take some time out and talk to you about entrepreneurial endeavors? And that's the type of community that we're building. You know what I mean? We're gonna build our own virtual Black Wall Street where we're all collaborating, we're all working together because nobody's going to save us. You know, we got to start with ourselves. We got to get me right. I got to get me right. That's gonna help my family. I help my family get, then I can help my neighbor experience the community. Like, one can chase 1,000, two can chase 10,000. That's the mindset we gotta have. Hey, this is your boy, CY. This is Lucas Michael Payne. This is the Genesis Podcast. You know how we do. Hey, until next time, and I'm gone. Hey.